Okay, thank you. I would like to emphasize that when we look at this current election, which we are going to be having on the 30th of July, as Dr. Aruanya is actually noted in Dua Mavinga is actually explained, I mean, there are fundamental issues that need to be addressed in these elections. And if you look like the strategy from the current administration which we are having of President Emmerson Mnangagwa, despite talking beautifully about having free and fair elections, I mean, very beautiful rhetoric, but in terms of action, there has been nothing fundamentally going on the ground. It's simply old wine in new wine skins, but otherwise when you taste the wine, you find that it's still the same old stuff which we're drinking before. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you look, the arena of manipulation is shifted from primitive rigging to the technical administration of elections or subtle means of manipulations, whereby the current government thinks that if it avoids the brazen and naked violence which was associated with our previous elections, by that then it will be deemed free and fair, and also because there is a tendency, there is some emerging perception that the bars or the standards have been lowered in as far as conducting a free and fair elections. So basically what we are speaking to is that there is need for implementation of existing laws to the letter and spirit, because if the existing laws are implemented to the letter and the spirit, we will definitely have a free and fair election. And this doesn't need going back through to Parliament to change the laws, as we have been trying, as we have been seeing the propaganda being put before, particularly within the public media or the state media, to say the electoral law can be changed. You don't need to change the law to say ZBC should stop hate speech and campaigning for one political party. That is simply an administrative issue which doesn't need a change of an act of parliament. It's more of a change in management and the interior policy to say all political parties will be given equal access. You don't need to change the law to say Justice Priscilla Chigumba should stop lying that there is a link for a provision of voters' roll or on the website of ZEC. We don't need to legislate against lying. We simply have to stop lying, period. And by doing that, by stop lying and providing the voters' roll, it means you would have a free and fair election. You don't need to change the law to say ZEC should be demilitarized. When you've got the chairperson of ZEC admitting that we've got 15%, and mind you, they're admitting 15%, these are official. Maybe they're assuming they're being economical with the truth. It could be more. So when you've got 15% saving, whether saving retired or what military percent, it causes a cause for concern given the role of the military in terms of our politics. If you look at the history of our politics, ever since going back beyond, you've seen that the military has been a significant factor, playing a contested role. And even when you look at the 2008 June parliamentary runoff, and Operation Makavotra Papi, and even when you look at things around command agriculture and how they are intertwined with the political economy of elections, you will see that you don't need a law. You will see that can be done administratively without going back to Parliament if people are committed to free and fair election. You don't. So even when you look at the fact that we are 7 days before nomination and there's no voters' roll, which has been raised by Dr. Ray, is something that is fundamental. And you don't need an act of parliament to give a voter's roll. Then, if you also look at the issue of the role of traditional leadership, we understand the issue of Chief Fortune Charumbira, which was brought by ERC, but also of late, where even have Chief Bushu, who is being challenged in court, who stood as a candidate for the ruling party in the primary elections, will be contested. And when you look at the Constitution, what it says, you don't need to enact an act of parliament to go and correct what the Constitution says. And anyway, an act of parliament is subsidiary to the Constitution. The Constitution is supreme. So these are things which need political will. So you don't need laws for some of these things. Even when you look at the utterances of Terence Mkupe and Josiah Hungwe on the military not acceding to a change of government. And when you look at the history of the military, which I've talked about, and the fresh memories and the disputes around legitimacy, then something should have happened not just a mere censor in the press statement by a government spokesperson ruling party. Something should have happened because Terence Mkupe took an oath to respect the constitution, and once he says something which is deemed unconstitutional, and this thing, mind you, has got an audio recording. So these things can be done, administratively and rectified. So when you look at that, there are no consequences about this. And even, you can actually say, let the service chiefs come out on national television and rebut that and say, as a service chief, as a professional armed forces of Zimbabwe, we owe our allegiance to the constitution and the people of Zimbabwe. We will certainly respect whoever emerges victorious in the elections. The role of the military is not to prop a single candidate or political party, but it is there to uphold the constitution of the country and to defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty, but not the territorial integrity and sovereignty of political parties. So all these things which I've hammered on, I can go on. I can give you a litany or create an encyclopedia. But basically what I'm trying to say is, it is the technical administration of the elections that matters most, and we don't need a further change in the laws. But what we need is political will from the current administration, and also beginning to walk the talk, no matter how painful it might be. Thank you.